This is Robert Kraft, and I'm your host on SNN Network. And joining me right now is Mark Ruport. He is the president and CEO of Sigma Labs. It's a publicly traded company. The symbol is SGLB on NASDAQ. Mark, great to have you on. Thank you for joining me today.
Good morning, Robert. Good to be here.
Great to have you. So, it's been a while since we've had Sigma Labs on the program, and I know we'll be getting into an update a little bit soon, but just real quick, let's get a very quick overview and history of the company, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Sigma Labs is an enterprise software company. We're headquartered in Santa Fe, where we develop software for the additive manufacturing industry, more specifically 3D metal printing. And we develop quality assurance software to ensure the quality of the end part coming out of the 3D printing process meets the requirements and standards of the manufacturer.
Got it. So, also real quick, just to catch people up, I'm always curious, what would you say makes the company and the technology unique and different compared to your peers out there?
Well, it's interesting. If you go back to the origins of the company, the scientists and the programmers came out of the Los Alamos labs in New Mexico. And that's one of the largest research and development sites in the world. And it's a multidisciplinary process there. And so we have engineers with many different disciplines in the company that have come together to provide a solution to a very complex problem. And that diversity of individuals is what makes the company unique and what makes our product much more superior than anything else in the market.
And Mark, real quick for my audience, can you explain what the problem is that Sigma Labs is solving, and then the product you guys are marketing to solve that problem?
Yes, our product is PrintRite3D. PrintRite3D is an in-process quality assurance product that monitors the build of a metal part coming out of a 3D printer. The reason that that's important is that there are many variables that have to be controlled in 3D metal printing. There's the metal powder itself, the power of the lasers, the manufacturer of the printer, and all those things come together to create a part that is built from metal powder and lasers hitting it. And so you can imagine trying to control that environment. And if you understand 3D metal printing, it takes the metal powder and the laser goes around layer by layer to build a part. During that process, there can be many defects. If you wait until the end of the process to be able to determine if you have a defect, it's very expensive. So our product is the only product that does that in process on multiple printers from multiple manufacturers around the world.
And so, like I said at the beginning of this interview, this is an update, because we last had management on back in December 2019, which seems like a decade ago at this point. So I'd love to get a corporate update since then, as well as some of the key first quarter 2020 operational highlights.
Boy, first quarter seems like a long time ago, doesn't it, with what's happening in the world? But the first quarter for us was a significant quarter, and that's when we commercialized our product and took it to market. We closed a couple of deals, Northwestern University and Mississippi State, both with advanced manufacturing programs. We also were granted 2 more patents that protect our lead and help us build a moat around our technology and the competitive advantage that we have in place. And we also introduced PrintRite3D production series. And that's a big step for the company. Our technology has been used primarily in research and development organizations for prototyping. Now we're going into serial production with end users in multiple different industries. So it was a milestone quarter for us. The end of the quarter ended up a little abruptly because of COVID. And so we had a couple deals that slipped out of the quarter, but nonetheless, it was a very good quarter for Sigma.
You also mentioned on the quarterly conference call that you expect to see growth in revenues. And I think it's only fair that I ask, what are some of the reasons that you expect to see some of that growth?
Sure. The first reason is, as I mentioned earlier, Q1 was the first quarter we brought our commercialized technology to market. So it was an introductory quarter for the company. The second reason we expect to see growth is the overall industry is growing 30% a year. So if you look at the number of 3D metal printers that are being installed around the world, that's increasing 30% compounded year over year. The third reason that we see the growth in our forecast that we're seeing is the maturity of the end users themselves. So you have large companies, aerospace or oil and gas companies that started with a single printer, now have 5 or 10 printers from different manufacturers. And as they get printers from different manufacturers, the need to ensure consistent quality across all those printers becomes more and more important. The last reason that we're beginning to see growth and accelerated growth is the maturity of the additive manufacturing process itself. So powders are getting better, printers are getting better, and we're getting much closer to the commercialization or full industrialization of 3D metal printing.
And I have to ask because, you know, last time I did an interview with Sigma Labs, it was with different CEO. They just brought you on as president and CEO of the company. So can you give our audience a little bit of your background and also some of the reasons for the transition in leadership?
Yes. So I have about 30 years of running public and private software companies. They've all been enterprise software companies. And the two areas that are most relevant to what I'm doing today at Sigma, in the late 80s, early 90s, I ran a large sales force that sold ERP systems to many of the same manufacturing companies that are adopting and investigating additive manufacturing today. So I have a background in selling manufacturing software internationally. The other experience that's relevant to Sigma is I took a small company that was about 30 employees through growth and international growth, took them public, and then they were subsequently acquired and are now part of Oracle. So I've run private and public companies. I've taken companies from startup to exit, and I've also run international companies that focus on manufacturing.
So they brought you in for commercialization. Let's just be frank, right? I mean, you know, you guys are ready to go. All right, bring in the guy. Let's go sell.
That's exactly right. I mean, they had a great product. They had great technology. The market is there. You know, the problem now becomes execution, or the challenge becomes execution. And that's always a challenge that's big enough. COVID has made it a little bit more challenging over the last couple of months. But this is a great group of people with a tremendous product. It's really a cool industry when you think about the manufacturing presence around the world and the percent of GNP that it represents of the world's economy. We're a catalyst in changing the face of manufacturing around the world. And that's what makes it exciting to our employees.
Absolutely. So with that, you know, I'd love to get your vision for the rest of 2020. What do you see for the company now moving forward, from what you can tell us, of course?
Of course. And again, COVID kind of clouds things up a little bit. So let's talk about COVID and the effect on the company, and then what our goals are going forward. So short term, the effect on the company has been some delays in some orders that we were expecting. Long term, we expect the crisis to force companies to restructure their supply chains and make them simpler and bring manufacturing closer to where the product is needed. That's going to accelerate the adoption of 3D metal printing. So when we see the vision for our company, it's to expand our ability to run on multiple printers, to be plug and play and get up and running very quickly, and to become that de facto standard for quality assurance across all 3D metal printers.
And with that, Mark, where can my audience go and find more information about Sigma Labs?
Two places: the website sigmalabsinc.com and also MZ Group.
Well, thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this interview with us today. Stay safe, good luck, and I look forward to our next update.
Robert, so do I. Appreciate the time.